This episode is brought to you by HASA. Liquid is clearly better. Liquid chlorine is the highest purity, works immediately, has no added cyanuric acid or calcium, and it will leave your pool safe, clean, and clear. And by the Bottom Feeder professional grade battery powered vacuum system. It sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off with code DVB100.
This episode is brought to you by Skimmer, the #1 pool service software in North America. With Skimmer, you can streamline your schedule, grow your revenue, and keep your customers coming back with 5-star service. Whether you're a one-person operation or an established team, Skimmer is your partner in success. Visit getskimmer.com/poolguy to try Skimmer for free for 30 days.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. This episode, I'm going to talk to you about scaling in the pool industry. I'm also going to highlight some ways to scale using your income from the pool industry as well. So I think this podcast is very applicable to anyone who's thinking about multiplying the money they earn in their business without multiplying the amount of hours you're working. Are you a pool service pro looking to take your business to the next level? Join the Pool Guy Coaching Program. Get expert advice, business tips, exclusive content, and get direct support from me. I'm a 35-year veteran in the industry. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, I've got the tools to help you succeed. Learn more at swimmingpoollearning.com. And for me, I think that's the true definition of scaling. You can work 80 or 90 hours a week. And yes, you're scaling your income, but I don't think that's sustainable in the long term. To me, if you're going to scale your business, that means you're working the same hours, but you're making more income. Now, this can be done in the pool industry. Now, there's a lot more hurdles nowadays than there was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Granted, it was a different kind of environment. I would even go back 10 years ago, where if you put a sign at your supplier saying you're looking for part-time help, and you had like little tear-off tags with your phone number, you would probably get a lot of hits back then, and there'd be a lot of people that were maybe working in the field, looking for more pools to do, or someone wanting to switch companies, or someone who had a friend who wanted to start pool service. That's changed a lot because of a lot of different industries that have evolved. I think one of the main things that has hurt recruiting of pool service professionals or technicians or employees is Uber Eats, DoorDash. In my area in Southern California, my neighbors get like McDonald's dropped off at the door, like a small little bag, and McDonald's is only like a mile from my house or less than a mile. And then, of course, you have Instacart and all those services. In fact, Instacart is so popular in my area that there's a waiting list for anyone who wants to join the service to do Instacart. And those have kind of eroded a lot of the kind of, I guess you would call them gig workers, but those that want to do something part-time, make extra money, and it's much easier to pick someone's McDonald's order up than to clean a pool. And that definitely has taken out a lot of potential employees in the industry. Another thing that I think has taken out a lot of employees is that this is a more casual generation coming out. I don't know what it's called, Gen Z or Gen Millenniums or whatever they're called. They're more casual about everything. I mean, when I was 15, I couldn't wait till I turned 15 and a half to get my work permit so I can get out there and get a job and make money. Totally different generation. A lot of the young adults and teenagers don't even have driver's license. So it is a different kind of era to recruit people. Not to say that you can't. It's just harder. And you have to incentivize things more, maybe pay more per pool. And then, of course, you have the added layer of laws changing, especially in California. Back in 2018, the AB5 law passed, which makes 1099 payments a lot harder to get past the IRS, and more people have to become employees of a company. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with making someone an employee. It just limits you a little bit in some aspects. And some people like getting paid a 1099 so they can deduct their truck and all the other expenses of their self-employment business. A lot of people are part-time and looking for extra work. So that kind of hurt California especially. And now you have to make everyone an employee. Again, that's not inherently bad. It just changes the landscape of sometimes who you can hire. And some people aren't looking for that particular kind of thing. And then there's an advent of these giant companies coming in and consolidating other companies and then taking all those employees that are normally out there in the pool of people to choose from and kind of gobbling them up. Groups like National Pool Partners or Premier Pool and Spas, these are pretty big groups that buy pool routes and consolidate them, and then they hire employees. So this is one of those things that is also changing the landscape of that. But people are out there. You just have to maybe ask people at your church or friends of friends, family members that are maybe looking for work or extra work, and you can find people to work out there. Again, incentivizing it to where they have other benefits of working for you, vacation pay, maybe more. You're paying them more than you normally would pay to retain somebody, but it is possible. And that's the easiest way to scale, is to bring on an employee. The reason for that is you can send them out there to do 40 or 50 pools. You can start increasing the pools that you do to a point. You don't want to overload yourself in case they get sick and you have to cover the pools. But a lot of times you can bring on some more pools or more work, and then you can take your income and scale the income. So you're working the same amount of hours that you're working before. You have an employee out there working as well. You're getting, a lot of the income from the employee, and they're getting paid. Everyone's happy, and you're getting more money in your business. And then you can replicate that. Another truck, another employee, more accounts, and keep replicating that process. As long as you have, the safety nets in place, you have the proper training, you have the proper marketing. This is something that you can pull off pretty well. And the Pool Guy Podcast Show has teamed up with UPA to bring you affordable, reliable liability insurance starting at just $64 a month. Get up to $2 million in coverage, and the members of my coaching group get an even lower rate. Protect your business and your peace of mind. Sign up with UPA today by clicking the link in the podcast description. Now, there are a few caveats to bringing an employee on. One of them is, of course, your customers may not want the employee servicing their pool, especially if you've been a single pooler and doing their pool for years. And this is a situation that you're going to run into with some customers when you bring on an employee and they see someone different back there. I mean, of course, the best way to do it is to start doing the pool with the employee, maybe riding tandem, introduce him to the customers, and let him know that he's going to be taking over the pool, that he's going to do everything you do, and that they should give him a chance to make sure that he or she is not, I think everyone needs the benefit of the doubt, and especially if someone, is an employee. I've had this happen with other vendors that I use as well, where they come out at first and then now they send their employee out to do work. And at first I was hesitant, like everyone else would be. But once I saw that the employee did the job just as good as they did and troubleshooted things as well as they did, I wasn't really too concerned about it, because it's actually the business itself that I'm doing business with, and it's not the actual employee. So I think that's something that the customers will come around to, because it's your business, they know you, and the employee is a secondary issue at that point. If they have any problems, they can still contact you directly. And to me, it's not a big hurdle if it's handled correctly. And I think that's the key. You have to introduce it correctly, and you have to explain why you're bringing on an employee. You can say that your business got really big, and in order to accommodate the growth, you brought someone on to help you. Rather than, consolidating and shrinking, you thought it was best to bring in an employee to help you out. And if there's any problems, of course, you're willing to take the pool back over, but you really want them to give this employee a chance at it. And if you pick the right person, you won't really have a problem with this. Rarely will they have a problem with you giving the pool to someone if they're competent. The key is not also to have a revolving door of employees. That kind of wears away the goodwill of the customer. So pick carefully and make sure that person is going to work for you long term. There's no way to really predict that or prevent them from going out and starting their own business, eventually, or finding a different job. But there are ways you can pick somebody that can stick to it. You just have to search much longer and much harder nowadays than you had to 10 years ago. How do you know you're ready to scale and bring on somebody for your service? Well, if you're doing 80 pools a week or 90 pools a week, which is near the maximum of any company that can do them correctly, and you feel like your customers are ready, you've been doing these pools for 3 or 4 years, I don't think you want to bring an employee on in the first year or two of service. I mean, you can successfully do that in some cases, but it's better if you're building your pool business out and you reach the point where you can bring on somebody and the customer will be much more receptive. But you'll kind of know that you can handle it when you've pretty much learned everything there is about the business, from all different angles, and you feel like you can handle managing someone else, managing your pools. And it's, again, different layers that you're going to have to get used to. You're not actually doing that pool anymore. They're doing it, and they may have just a slightly different style. And if you can be the kind of person that doesn't micromanage the employees, you're definitely more apt to bring someone on than the person that's, having to see what's going on and seeing every detail the way you want it. And I think that's the key, is your personality has to fit the ability to bring someone on. And you can train yourself, of course, to kind of detach yourself, because that's your bread and butter. So of course you have to protect it. Once you are at that point mentally where you can do that and have that separation and give someone else control over those accounts, then I think you're ready to bring someone on, and also mentally ready to deal with any kind of problems, pushback from customers, problems with the employee dropping the ball. All those things are things that you have to be ready for. And once you feel ready for that, no one's probably 100% ready. Once you feel as ready as you can be for that, then it's time to scale your business. And usually you want to start them off part-time, and you may even convert that person to a full-time employee eventually. And I would recommend that you make them an employee because it's easier to manage, and you can also get added protection with getting a workers' comp policy. Fortunately, in California, the pool service is under the janitorial category, which means your workers' comp is less. If you don't do that, you have the possibility of someone getting hurt out there and then coming back and wanting money from you. So it's always good to just do everything by the book. Paying someone under the table is very dangerous and can come back to hurt you. So I always think make them an employee, pay them a really good wage. You can still kind of do the per pool payment that way as well, and then have the protection of having workers' comp. And then, of course, they're legitimately an employee of your company at that point. You can get insurance for them, liability insurance. So it's really the best way to do it. I'm kind of a by-the-book person because I like to sleep easy at night without having to worry about things coming back to haunt you later in business. Now, I mentioned scaling outside of the pool service industry because you may be comfortable just doing the pools yourself, doing 80 pools, working Monday through Thursday, doing repairs and small things, but you're making a pretty good income, and you can actually scale outside of the industry. I know a pool service professional who bought a coin laundry, and coin laundries are actually pretty easy to manage because you have the machines in there and you just have to kind of collect the money and make sure you have someone who can service the machines. He's not servicing them, but he has a technician that goes in there and fixes whatever a washer breaks or a dryer breaks. And it's something that is a very passive business. There's not much you need to worry about. You don't have to be on site really, and everything is automated for the patrons that go there. It's a pretty good business, and it's something that he actually bought a second coin laundry because the first one was so successful. And he's scaling outside. He's doing his pool route, and he's kind of managing this on the side. Now, not every business can be managed part-time, so just be careful. You're not going to buy a fast food restaurant and try to have it all help run. It's not going to go well. if you ever have been into a help run mom and pop place, you know that it can be a disaster. So you want to make sure that it's something that you can do on the side. Now, there's vending machine routes. Those are really popular as well. I remember back in the day when I was younger, there was like payphone routes. That's crazy that that whole business sector has been eliminated. But there was things like that. So find something like that if you are into business and want to do something like that. I really think real estate is the best because you can buy multifamily properties, rent them out. Pretty easy to manage yourself once you get the hang of it. And you can keep scaling that way by getting one every year until you have enough to where the future rent is going to be a pretty good retirement amount. And I think that's a scalable way that is really well suited for pool service professionals because you're already good at customer service, dealing with people, and dealing with a tenant is almost the same as dealing with a pool service client. And it's the same kind of concept. And you know the area because you're driving around all the time and you know where the good neighborhoods are in your city. And this is what makes you an ideal investor, in my opinion. And there's a lot of great tax benefits on the other end of it. So for me, that's a great way to scale outside the industry. And you may want to scale just by putting money into the market. Get a financial advisor and he'll help you invest. And you can scale that way pretty passively without really doing anything except investing every month in certain funds that your financial advisor tells you to put the money into. So there's all different ways to scale. And I think the whole point of working in the pool service industry and working independently as a self-employed person is to have the ability to find some way to scale your business by using your income, maybe outside the industry, using your income in the industry to bring on more employees and trucks, but ultimately multiplying your monthly income without increasing the amount of hours you work. And it can be done and done successfully, and it's done successfully all the time. It's just a matter of you yourself thinking about what is the best way for me to scale my business. Now that I'm pretty well established and I have a good income, how can I use that to create more income without me putting more hours into the business? And if you're looking for other podcasts, you can find those on my website, swimmingpoollearning.com, by going to the banner, click on the podcast icon. That'll take you to a site where you can actually type in the search box for different episodes. I also have some real estate talks. If you type in real estate, you'll get a few of those popping up there as well. And if you're interested in subscribing on YouTube, Monday through Friday, I drop an episode there as well. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I mentioned earlier, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.